Hi, this is Junaid from the Smart City Council, and I am with Mr. Corey Gray, who's been traveling around the world. He's been at every Smart City event in 2024. Corey, thanks for coming to San Francisco as your last trip of the year. Thanks for joining us for this pre-Christmas event, and would love to hear from you. What did you learn? You've traveled almost 400,000 miles. You've met a lot of people. What is really your thought about world events, the struggles people have, but more importantly, what is your thought on what we at the Smart City community can do to help out?
It's been a pretty interesting year politically. Obviously, the States is a new and old president. The UK's been in an incredible state of disarray politically. France has also been. The war doesn't stop in Ukraine. The war escalates and escalates in the Middle East. So for us, it's been a year of pretty challenging in terms of trying to work out where to put capability and capacity to do the things that we want to do for people and the places where they live. Africa goes on, the middle of Asia goes on. So there's just such a lot, and happily our team has expanded incredibly. The awareness of what we're doing has expanded incredibly, and our services that we're offering to the people within our membership and partnership global ecosystem continues to expand. So it's been a crazy busy but really important year, I think, for our organisation and for the people we work with.
So you've been at every major Smart City event around the world. Are there any big takeaways you have?
I think so. The takeaways have probably come outside of the events, in that people are realising that there needs to be a reversion to proper content. With all the love in the world for the event companies that we know and work with, a lot of the content in recent years has been probably vendor driven, and what I think we're seeing is a reversion to the idea that, and I saw an old video of Steve Jobs talking about it the other day, just obsessed with the customer experience. So you've got to have the cities and the governments out there talking about what's going on, not vendors saying I've got a solution to a problem. He obsessed about the customer view, not the technology viewpoint, and without realising that's been something that I'm told I've brought to the organisation, and I think that has helped us accelerate the sort of impact that we're making.
Unfortunately, 2024 will be known as the year of conflict. The conflict in Gaza is horrific. The conflict in Ukraine is horrific. We also have new potential conflicts in Taiwan. What role if any, do you think the Smart City community has in all of this?
I think our positioning is really clear. We care about people. We care about the places where they live. We are apolitical. We are a-religious. We simply bring an objective lens with some of the smartest people in the world, and some of, I think, the most values-driven people in the world, objectively, to the circumstances that people find themselves and the places in which those circumstances are unfolding. So I couldn't be more convinced, even more than I was 1 year ago and 2 years ago, that we're possibly the most significant agency that people have in the world to effect meaningful change, because we don't have legacies. The UN has vetoes, and there's so much, political and or religious horse trading, as we would say in English, that we don't have to participate in. So we have now someone in Tel Aviv, we have someone in Gaza working together for the people of the region. We're not caught up that one of them is Muslim and one of them is Jewish, and that there's long-standing and complex political agendas. We are not interested in that. We're interested in how we can affect better outcomes for people.
Looking at 2025, what do you have planned for the organization?
So in terms of the what would I say, the genealogy of Smart City Council, we'll go into our 14th year. We have listened to the people in our network. What we know is we have a good brand and an amazing network. What we haven't understood well enough, in my view, is what those people need. And so we've spent a year working that out in terms of education, capital, accelerator programs, networks, events, media. As you know, the last one of these that you did, over 300,000 people are watching it now. So what we've understood is that we want to create exceptional knowledge, content, value. That can be about research, it can be about policy, it can be about new technology, it can be about new use cases. But what we want to do is continue to create great content, and we want to continue to help as many people as possible as we can through media, through events, through education, through capital raising or task forces. So I feel like the last step for us is getting our infrastructure ready to scale at the rate we need to scale, which is going to be, I don't want to say terrifying, but it reminds me of that Rainer Maria Rilke poem, Schrecklich England, which you would know having gone to school in Germany as a young boy, The Terrifying Angels. So that's my thing at the moment, is making sure that all of the good things we know we have within our reach that we can be successful with.
Great. So, with that, do you have any thoughts as we get towards Christmas? We're in front of a Christmas tree here in San Francisco, in terms of what we could look for.
I think, well, firstly, we're in the Mark Hopkins Hotel, so 7 and 8 of May, we'll have our North American Smart City Summit here, which is going to be exciting and very culturally enriching. In relation to Christmas trees, as you would know, I'm utterly agnostic. I don't even know how to be polite about that. But if I was being impolite, it wasn't intended. But we've got some amazing things going on in education that is going to get bigger and better: online, on-demand, professional development, multi-language, an events program, I think, that goes to 30 countries next year. Task force is really taking off. We're expanding into Belgium. We have a francophone task force now kicking off, which is interesting for me because we've got people speaking Old French, Quebecois, African French, French, and all of the complexities that come with just dealing with people that speak French, but I kind of enjoy that. Hopefully we'll see, the ceasefire in the Middle East perpetuate, and it gives us work to do. People have forgotten about it, but we're still working hard in Turkey with, the recovery efforts of the earthquake there and trying to preempt what we know is going to happen and is overdue in Istanbul. We're launching a global cities initiative where major cities of the world will come together and collaborate with us to share opportunities, challenges, use cases, resources. So that's really exciting. We're kicking off homelessness as a key area of interest, which I know you're passionate about, as am I. And paradoxically, and maybe this is something I can share very briefly, but when I was in Istanbul 3 weeks ago, 21 million people struggling for housing, struggling for resources and everything. And I was talking with Errol, who leads the Smart City team there, and he said, and I talked about homelessness and said I'd just been in San Francisco, and he said it's not a problem here. And it suddenly struck me, that this is a city, as we've discussed before, where 70 people have more money than half of the world's population, and yet homelessness is a problem. But in Istanbul, almost everyone's poor or a migrant from war or whatever, but they take people into their homes. It's not necessarily an engineering change, it's just a cultural change that needs to be brought about. So it's not always the data and the tech, it's just about people's human condition. And I saw a guy the other day talking about the Eurostar, and they wanted to reduce the time it took. 7 billion euros was spent getting 40 minutes off the travel time from London to Paris. And he said, you know what? For 5% of that, you could get every famous actor on earth, every famous sports person, and serve Chateau Petrus to everyone, and they'd wish it went an hour longer.
Yeah.
So we're not just thinking about those very constrained engineering approaches to human challenges. We're thinking in different ways, and that sort of excites me about what we do as an organisation, where I think others are very much pro-process or pro-sell stuff, or you know, we're thinking about the human condition as the number one priority. And then, as I said at the beginning, like as Jobs put it back in the day, we're obsessing over the customer experience and then working back saying, what do we know that could make that better?
So with that, thanks for flying around the world. Thanks for leading smart cities, and looking forward to an exciting 2025. Thanks for your time.
And